This year's Whitehall Monitor report looks at the state of the civil service as we approach the end of the Parliament and the impending general election. It assesses how the civil service changed in 2023 and how it should reform in the future to strengthen UK government. The civil service continued to grow this year, though at a lower rate than after the EU referendum and during the pandemic, and driven by the recruitment of frontline workers such as prison officers and asylum caseworkers. By the end of the Parliament, officials will have experienced steep real terms pay cuts of between 12 and 26% since 2010, depending on their seniority. This has had a significant impact. Morale has fallen for 2 years in a row now, with officials particularly unhappy with their pay and benefits. Falling real terms pay has also contributed to very high levels of turnover in the civil service. While churn has come down slightly from last year, the proportion of staff leaving the civil service entirely remains at the highest it's been for almost a decade. More positive are the government's efforts to relocate civil servants out of London, which continue apace, and the workforce continues to become more diverse. For the first time this year, female representation in the senior civil service matches the wider population, and representation of minority ethnic and disabled civil servants has continued to increase. Looking ahead, we argue that the time is ripe for major, long-term reforms. The civil services workforce should be much more effectively planned, to end inefficient boom and bust recruitment cycles and reduce Whitehall's reliance on private sector consultants, spending on which has increased by 40% in real terms since 2018-19. Relations between civil service and ministers, severely strained in recent years, also need to be reset and clarified, which can be achieved by putting the civil service on a new statutory footing. And Whitehall's policy-making processes need shaking up, to become more open, long-term and reflective if the UK is to meet the serious challenges facing the country in the coming years. As we approach the election, civil service leaders should be thinking hard about these issues, and a new government, of whatever political makeup, should be ready to make more fundamental reforms than have been attempted in decades.